Welcome back to Foot in Mouth. Just one more day until the new Premier League season starts, and also one more day till the FPL starts, which if you haven't already joined, here's the code on screen. Foot in Mouth League is going. Ethan's won it back to back. That needs to change ASAP. I know it's not going to be me. Last season's relegation battle absolutely proved that, but it might be you. So join the league, see what you can do to dethrone the dude, because I need that done. And Razine, I'm looking at you, bro. You've been the closest to taking him off the top spot. You got to finish the job this season. You're pulling an Arsenal here for a Man United fan. Speaking of pulling anything, last night, Spurs doing a absolute Spurs of themselves and throwing it away in the end, losing to PSG on penalties in the Super Cup. Look, I'm not going to begrudge them. They made a final. They were there because they won the Europa League, which I also can't begrudge. They won it fair and square, albeit in a much easier format of the tournament. Yes, I'm going to be salty, but I couldn't stand watching them lift a second trophy, bro. I was having shades of deja vu. I didn't watch any of the Club World Cup except for the final because I was ready to see Chelsea get a hiding from PSG. That didn't happen. Last night, I thought, okay, let's see Spurs get a hiding from PSG, because even on their worst day, surely PSG is still better than Spurs. And for about 80 minutes, that wasn't true. 80 minutes too long for me, bro. I couldn't watch. I was very happy to see Twitter exploding once Spurs had officially bottled it, though. And hopefully we see more of that in this season, although I have tipped them to finish quite decently. Did the predictions episode yesterday, so if you haven't seen that already, please do check it out. Let me know in the comments your predictions for the upcoming season. And yeah, let's just get right into it. Match week 1. Some big games this weekend. Obviously, the biggest one on the card is Manchester United versus Arsenal. It's the derby of all derbies this season. It's going to be Gyökeres versus Šeško from game 1 till game 38. And probably beyond, if we're being honest, because this is football. Let's start with the blockbuster, shall we? Manchester United versus Arsenal at Old Trafford. It's a game that any Arsenal fan is kind of hardwired to dread a little bit. Even though we haven't lost to United since 2022, going to Old Trafford is a trip that no Arsenal fan enjoys seeing Arsenal make. It's not normally a good day for us. But I do think that this season we'll get more of what we've seen in recent seasons. A good Arsenal performance, for one. And yeah, I think Arsenal are going to win this. I can't lie. I think Arsenal are going to win this. I think Manchester United look better on paper. They've improved. They've obviously got Mbeumo there. They've obviously got Benjamin Šeško in now. And they've got Cunha. So goals-wise, they are more of a threat. Defense-wise, they are just as shambolic as ever, in my opinion. So I think Arsenal have a setup that can absolutely get goals. We saw Mikel Merino scoring goals last season. Now we've got a tried and tested striker. I hope that he can get a debut goal. If he doesn't, I don't think it's going to hinder him for the season. I think he's going to be a success at Arsenal. But yeah, this game is definitely going to be shadowed by which striker is going to take the headlines on the day. Is it going to be Benjamin Šeško, who I think is absolutely going to start this game? Looks like Højlund is working on a move away from United, so I don't think they have much of a choice, even though Šeško is probably barely trained with the club. He's going to have to lead the line. So it's going to be all eyes on Šeško and all eyes on Gyökeres. And I am very curious to see how it plays out. I think they have two different styles of football. Both clubs play different styles of football. But Arsenal have just consistency behind them, I'd say. You know, we've got a really good team. We've got a team that's challenged for a title 3 seasons in a row now. Man United just came off the back of finishing, I think 15th was the final place in the Premier League. And then they lost in the Europa League final to Spurs. It hasn't been the best pre-season for them either. But nonetheless, they are an improved side. But just so are Arsenal, you know. We've had a much more productive preseason, I'd say. And we don't have nearly as many injury worries as we did last season. So I think with a full-strength squad, a striker up top for the first time in a game like this, I think Arsenal have a real shout of getting a big win here. And I'm going to say Arsenal take this 3-1. It's a bit ambitious and it's very hopeful, but I think it's possible. You know, we've seen Arsenal score 5 past Manchester City, so why not 3 past Man United at Old Trafford? I think Arsenal definitely have been the better team between the two in recent seasons. The league has shown that much. And I think we've recruited really smart. Martin Zubimendi, I'm telling y'all, do not sleep on this guy. I know it seems a little boring because the transfer was confirmed so long ago, but I genuinely believe with this man in Arsenal's midfield, the way we play is going to transform. And I'm excited to see it. It's just unfortunate that we have to start with Man United. Arsenal have one of the toughest starts to the season out of the traditional Big Six clubs, but it's probably what we need. Get a lot of these tough fixtures out the way early. The rest of the season, you have a little bit more breathing room, and you can just kind of focus on building momentum, building morale, etc. But yeah, Man United, like I said, again, a trip to Old Trafford definitely always worries me. Not so much this time around, though. I think after as many years as it's been since United have beaten us in the league, of course, they did beat us in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup in recent seasons. So they can beat us, but I don't think they're beating us day one of the Premier League. So yeah, I'm going to say Arsenal 3-1. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to disagree with that. Let me know in the comments below why and what your score predictions are for the big one of this weekend. But yeah, I think 3-1, and I think you are going to get debut goals. I think Gyökeres is going to score again. He's opened his account now. I know it was a preseason game, but I think getting that first goal out the way is going to do wonders for any striker, especially Gyökeres. And yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of a walkover in this game. The match week starts with the league champions, though. Liverpool at home to Bournemouth. Probably one of the nicest fixtures that Arne Slot could have asked for, because Bournemouth have a non-existent defense at the moment. They looked impressive last season, but they've lost their goalkeeper, they lost their left back, they lost both their centre backs. It's not a good time to be at Bournemouth. It helps that they held on to all of the attacks. Semenyo even extended, signed a new deal. So they've still got Semenyo, they've still got Kluivert. But bro, have you seen this Liverpool attack? Those attacks, like Ekitike and Wirtz, just running through whatever defense Bournemouth puts out is going to be a horror show, bro. I think Liverpool's defense is still good, even though Crystal Palace did expose a few weaknesses in that area. I still think they've got more than enough defensively to keep Bournemouth under control. And I also think Bournemouth are probably going to spend most of this game, if not all of it, playing on the back foot, because they are going to be well aware of the fact that their defense is much weaker than it was last season. And they didn't have a very inspiring preseason either, to be honest. So I think Liverpool definitely going to run away with the win in this one. I also think that Ekitike is going to get another goal, because after seeing how he played against Crystal Palace, coming up against this Bournemouth team in its current state, yeah, he's definitely going to get another goal. It does help that Bournemouth still managed to hold on to their manager, which is going to be a big plus for them. Iraola, one of the best managers in the league, without a doubt. And yeah, he'll clearly have a game plan. He's a good manager. I just don't think it's going to be enough, bro. This Liverpool team is too good. I think the league champions, who are also league favorites this season, are going to lead by example and start things off with a big 3-0 win. It's going to be a lot of eyes on Mo Salah as well, because let's not forget that he was a bit of a ghost in the Community Shield game. So he's going to, I think, need to put in a little bit of a performance, just to remind players and people, fans, that he is still the man. I have my doubts. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I do think that this season you're going to see a drop-off from Mo Salah, which isn't saying much considering the dude's, 33 now, so it's kind of expected at his age. Same with Virgil van Dijk, but drop off or not, I think this Liverpool side is definitely taking the win against Bournemouth. We got Aston Villa hosting Newcastle. This is an interesting game as well. These are two clubs that kind of have their own sets of drama to deal with. Aston Villa, I'm sure, are still fuming a little bit that they've missed out on Champions League football. It has affected their transfer window. And Newcastle, obviously, Alexander Isak, no intention of playing for the club again. And they haven't exactly replaced the guy, so don't know who's going to be playing up top for Newcastle in this one. No Callum Wilson either, who's joined West Ham. But I still think Newcastle obviously have a good attack. They've got Anthony Gordon there still. They still have one of the best central midfields in the league, in my opinion, with Joe Linton, Tonali, and Bruno Guimaraes. But that being said, Aston Villa, bro, I do rate them a little more than Newcastle. And it's not just because Newcastle don't have Isak right now, but it's also because Aston Villa managed to hold on to all their stars. It looks like Jacob Ramsey is on his way to actually join Newcastle, but I don't think that's no way that's going to be done by the time this fixture comes around. But even without Jacob Ramsey, I think Aston Villa still look like a really good team. And I'm backing them to get the win here at home advantage. With Unai Emery still there, they've found goals in preseason, even if they haven't won all their games, much more so than Newcastle in preseason. So I think momentum is with Aston Villa. I think that this is going to be a big win for Aston Villa. Come the end of the season, we'll look back at this one and be like, yep, it was all thanks to a strong start by Villa that led to them finishing where I've predicted them to finish, because everything that I predicted is going to happen. I know ball. But yeah, I think Aston Villa are going to win this one 2-1. I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle can snatch the win here, of course. But look, even with the head-to-heads, I think Villa have enjoyed more of the spoils when these two teams meet. So now more than ever, I'm back in Villa for a win here. Brighton at home to Fulham. This is also a bit of a tricky one. Like I said, there are some good football fixtures this weekend. This is going to be a nice one for the neutrals. Both sides play some attractive football. Some things are up in the air at Brighton, obviously, as Sol João Pedro. Looks like Belieber is, I don't know if he's pushing for a move away, but Man United are interested. So some question marks around Brighton. Fulham, I don't think have done very much, if anything at all, in the transfer window so far. Please excuse that noise. My neighbors are still doing renovations, which is a constant problem I'm having to work around for now. But lovely people. But back to the game. Fulham and Brighton, I think they're going to cancel each other out. I'm going for a 1-1 draw here. And then we move on to the first opportunity for an upset, in my opinion. It's Sunderland at home to West Ham. I have heaped praise on Sunderland for the work they've done in the transfer market. I think they've got some of the best business done, especially with Granit Xhaka, who is in with a real shout for signing of the season for me. So I think West Ham, some work's definitely needed, although I do like the addition of Callum Wilson. I think that they've effectively replaced Mikel Antonio. He's obviously not going to be someone that makes them title challenges, but I think he's someone that keeps them in the Premier League. And I think that starts this weekend. I'm not saying he's going to get a debut goal or anything. If anything, it's going to be Jared Bowen, who leads the line for West Ham in the goal-scoring department. But yeah, as much as I want to back Sunderland, I think it's still a bit too soon. And I'm going to give this one to West Ham. I'm going to give it 1-0. Although I do think that this is a big opportunity for an upset on the weekend. Sunderland, they've got my respect in the ambition they've showed with the signings. I'm very curious to see how they hold their own in the Premier League. Starting against West Ham's a very good opportunity for them to kind of show it at a decent pace because, again, West Ham are not going to be title contenders. But yeah, I think that West Ham Premier League pedigree is going to come out on top in this one. Then we got Spurs versus Burnley. Obviously, another opportunity for an upset here. But given that Burnley have lost James Trafford, who was such an essential piece of that impressive defense last season, I can't look past Spurs, which is, I hate to say it. Spurs have looked very good. I love Thomas Frank as a manager. I think that he is a massive upgrade on anything Spurs have had in recent years. Although, all due respect to Pochettino, who did win them a Europa League. But I think that Frank is a step up from that. I think the additions that they've made have been smart with Mohamed Kudus coming in. I think that if they do end up getting Eberechi Eze and Savinho from Man City, as predicted by some Twitter rumors right now, I may need to tweak my season predictions a little bit, but because they aren't here yet, I'm still going to hold them where I've held them. I think Spurs, this is another game where they're going to have home advantage. It's a big, big club versus newly promoted Burnley, who are no strangers to the Premier League, but I think there are strangers to beating Spurs. So I'm going to stick with the Spurs win here. I'm going to say 3-0 Spurs, and you probably will also get debut goal here, bro. I think Mohamed Kudus could probably have a very good day at home. And I think Dominic Solanke, bro, big season for him, especially with Son gone now. Wolves is hosting Manchester City. Now, Wolves is a club that I have predicted to get relegated this season. I think this game is literally the beginning of the end. I do not like what Wolves have done in the transfer window. I do like their manager, for sure. But opening game against Manchester City, it's not looking good, bruv. I think Man City obviously have recruited very well in this transfer window. The talk of them getting Donnarumma and or Rodrigo from Madrid is terrifying me, because those are another two signings where if they are made, I may need to tweak my predictions a little bit. But even in the state that they're in currently, with the additions that they have already brought in, with the players that they already had at the club, I think they've got way more than enough to beat Wolves. And I think that this is going to be a big one. This is the biggest win for me of the weekend. I'm going for Man City to win this one 4-1. I think Erling Haaland, bruh, he's probably going to get at least a brace in this one. I think Turkey is going to have a very good game, because this Wolves team are going to be a little bit all over the place, in my opinion. No Cunha, no Ait Nouri. I can't look past Man City, man. They are a team that I think are going to be fighting tooth and nail for the title this season. Opening things up against Wolves. 4-1 Man City. Nottingham Forest versus Brentford. This is another one, much like the Brighton versus Fulham game. I think it's two clubs that are far from being ready for a new Premier League season. It's two clubs that have had very average pre-seasons. And it's two clubs that really don't have much going on right now. I think a lot of people are like disrespecting Brentford a little bit. I know that they have lost some very important players. They've lost their captain with Norgard. They've lost Mbuma. It looks like Wisa's on his way out. But I do think they still have some good players. They still have Damsgaard, their goalkeeper who was shared the golden glove with David Raya last season. So they've got some foundation. They held on to the defenders as well. I like Coyote. I think he's really good. So there's enough promise at the Brentford side for me to think that they aren't really going to be in any real danger this season. And I think this game is a very good way for them to remind people of that. I'm actually backing Brentford for a win here. I think it's going to be a 2-1 Brentford win. All due respect to Forest. Forest are at home. But Forest have also had a pretty average to bad preseason. And they haven't replaced Anthony Ilanga effectively. I don't think Chris Wood is going to have as good a season as he did last season. So, yeah, I'm going to go Brentford 2 and Nottingham Forest 1. Chelsea at home to Crystal Palace this weekend. I like what I saw from Palace in the Community Shield. I really do. I just think that Chelsea are just kind of scary this season. It's not something that I enjoy saying. Just like when I have to compliment Spurs. I think Chelsea look a real threat, bro. They are my clear dark horses for the title this season. I'm not saying that they are going to have a guaranteed title push, but I think that if it's going to be won by anybody that isn't Arsenal, Liverpool, or Man City, it's going to be Chelsea. I hope that things go normal this season and it's not Chelsea, but even so, they're probably going to have their sights set on the Champions League run. Oh my word. Yeah, okay. You know what? Chelsea versus Palace, I'm going to keep it short. I think Chelsea, way better players, in a much better groove, coming off the back of winning a Conference League and a Club World Cup, and they had a very, very good run out against AC Milan in pre-season. Crystal Palace, yes, they look good against Liverpool, but they do still have too many question marks around some key players there, so I can't really back them, especially at Stamford Bridge. I'm regrettably going to say 3-1 Chelsea. Leeds versus Everton closes out the first game week of the Premier League season. It's a game that I had very little interest in the beginning, but now that I'm seeing all this Jack Grealish prop going on, I'm really excited for this. I think Jack Grealish to Everton obviously is not going to be. It's not. Wouldn't have been his first choice. You know, if he knew that okay, I'm going to leave Man City this season. But I think that he's joining a really ambitious project there. He's joining under David Moyes, who lives and breathes Everton, and I think that he is a solid manager. And I also feel like we are very likely to see shades of Aston Villa Jack Grealish in this Everton side. I think David Moyes is going to give him absolute creative freedom in that midfield, and he's going to dictate things. He's going to run the show. So I think versus them coming up against Leeds is a really good opportunity to get the first peek at Jack Grealish in an Everton kit. I really hope the dude's a success there. I can't lie. I think he is going to keep them up. And I actually had this game down as a 1-1 draw. But the more I'm thinking about Jack Grealish playing for Everton, I'm going to change that. And I'm going to say Everton are going to win this one 2-1. I think Everton win 2-1. I think I'm hoping Jack Grealish has a really good debut. But yeah, this game started out as something that I think was a little bit flat. And it's just kind of turned 180 on me now that I think about Jack Grealish there, bro. It's going to be so good to see this dude playing and having fun again. Just seeing his interviews with him, just smiling and having a good time again. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen that. And if you love football, you love a happy Jack Grealish on the pitch, bro. So that does it for the first set of fixtures in the new Premier League season. Let me know your guys' predictions. Who is stealing the headlines this weekend? Who's going to be the player of the week? I think there are quite a few people to consider for this one. I am going to actually say it's going to be Victor Gyökeres. I think the stage is set. It's a huge game for him. He strikes me as someone that really thrives in big occasions. So I'm gonna go with my gut here. I'm gonna say Victor Gyökeres. It is a very biased gut as well since I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'm still going to say Victor Gyökeres without a doubt is going to be my player of the week. Next time we sit down, it's going to be after all these fixtures. It'll be next week Tuesday. So in the meantime, you guys can come back to this video. Let me know in the comments what you're making of all the games. And hopefully, we'll have something good to talk about come Tuesday. For now, though, thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to give it a like. And if you have enjoyed what you've seen, consider giving the channel a subscribe. And the FPL. Don't forget FPL. Please join the league. It is starting tomorrow. We need to get Ethan knocked off that #1 spot. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. And I'll catch you in the next one.